Hey, if I'm live, I don't know if I am or not. Hang on a minute, guys. Bear with me. Boy, look, my hair. I should have put a hat on. I wasn't ready, I think. Come here, Teddy. Hop up here and support. I need it. Hi, everybody. I'm guessing you can see me now. Sorry about that. I had come over here, young man. Tell everybody hi. You want to say hi? You want to say hi to Carol? Let's see who else is in here. Diana's in here and Carol's in here. And there's a Monarch Moment person, probably Garrett. But, it'd be okay if you said hi to him too. I hope everybody's well tonight. You ready to lay down? You keep watching on that game and watch the score, and I'll watch the score down here, okay? Okay? Well, he may just stand here and do the whole show. Good evening, Laurie Jean Carlson. Nope, he's not. He's going to go away. Okay. Well, howdy, guys. Let me see if I've missed anything. You got some hellos, buddy. Oh, me. How are you feeling? Well, I'm feeling okay. I look worse than I feel, I think. I'm not as sore. As Uncle Remus would say, my hind end parts ain't near as sore as they used to be. But, or that as they have been, thank goodness. Happy New Year. Who can figure out what lang syne all bear is? I'll give you. I actually had something I was going to give away. I don't remember what it was. Oh, shoot. What was it? I lost my coffee. Hang on a minute. Well, I'm not quite sure what I just knocked in the floor, but get my coffee warmed back up here a little bit. Whew. Sorry. Teddy wanted me to go sit on the couch, and I suspect that he's made me sleepy. Let me see now. I never did catch up here where I was at. Sir Teddy let us get a really good look at him today. Oh, well, yeah, he did. He stood right up here, and I pulled him right over here close so he could look in. He wanted to tell you guys, he wanted me to give you guys an update on our neighbor cat, whose name now, Reggie. Whose name now I can't remember to save me. But Mr. Reggie seems to be healing and doing okay, actually. I don't know if you saw the pictures. I put some more pictures of him on the Dawn. Where's Dawn? Oh, hey, Dawn, there you are. Happy New Year. Mike, I don't know about that. I didn't, you know what? I didn't check it today. I will have to find out. I don't honestly know. I apologize, but we hadn't up until today. You want to know the truth? I haven't been out of the house today, so I don't know. It was warm and melty outside, so I just stayed in. We didn't have anywhere we had to go today, so. And Brenda isn't feeling good again, unfortunately. But it's all stomach. It's not respiratory or anything. she has a terrible time occasionally with salads, and we had salad for dinner last night. I went out and got them, brought them home, and she played. She sort of played cricket all night with the toy. If you've ever seen cricket, you know what I'm talking about. They just run back and forth a lot. It's kind of goofy looking, but what did Garrett say here? I will remember that when I have to pay the bills. Diana said you can't charge interest because you can't take it with you. Oh, that'd be that's a good plan. What's he trying to take with him? I missed that. It's sad that we overspend like the way we do. I still missed that. Didn't read that article I sent you about some families going into debt for a vacation. No, I meant you sent that to me. No, I didn't see that one. I read another article you sent me. Sir Teddy let us know. I'm backing up. Man, I missed some stuff, guys. Bear with me here. Can't take it with you. Okay, so there's a can't take it with you. Okay. Oh, well, that's okay with me, Don. You're still in here, phone or otherwise. Hey, Garrett, Don, Teddy, Tim. Hey, Mike. Welcome in. I thought you were in here already, but it was just Diana that was in there. Carkey says, Mike, yours came yesterday. I think there was a backlog at the U.S. Post Office. We received cards from Tennessee, California, and Canada yesterday. I heard there was such a long line of cards trying to get into the United States, getting through customs or immigration at the Canadian border. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe that was Mexico. Never mind. And I'm just kidding. It's probably not that funny, but Mike, I'll have to go look. I don't always get. I wonder if I could use Teddy's brush to brush my hair. Anybody think? Would he mind, you reckon? I doubt it. Although I suspect I keep it handy here just so I can make him happy. Although I suspect it probably hurt a little bit. Maybe not. Now you can all say you saw a hillbilly brushing his hair with a cat's brush. Well, actually feels kind of good. That my head needed that little wire massage. Anybody ever seen one of those copper wire things you put down on your head and it's supposed to massage your scalp and you just move it up and down, up and down? Well, which part am I serious about? The brush or the cards waiting at the Canadian border? Yeah, me too, Carol. She wasn't. I told her she couldn't be sick anymore, but she went off and done it again. But I don't know if she's watching. I'll make sure she knows that you are wishing her well. Was I serious about the cat brush? Oh, well, anyway, clarify, Mike or Diana, because I want to know. Because I want to make sure you got the whole story. I am what I am. Hell, Mike, I didn't have anything to do with that. Diana and I didn't plan that ahead of time. It wasn't my idea. I had nothing to do with it. Well, he's clean. If I told you the truth, he's probably had my hairbrush on him before. Maybe that's terrible for folks, but I might not use my dog's brush, but because he'd probably be outside rolling and stuff. I wouldn't want on my head. But Teddy's he just lays here in the chair beside me. His head's probably not any worse off than my head is. Now we could ask Garrett. Garrett has a dog. Garrett, do you ever use the dog's brush? Tina says, okay, so you had me confused. I looked, and this said 10 minutes ago that you were streaming in 38 hours. What? Did it? Oh, if it did, I'm sorry. 38 hours? That would be Saturday. Was that Saturdays? Oh, guys, if I had this down for 38 hours from now, I apologize. But you guys made it in, so I guess that wasn't too bad. Dog has a bad leg today. We don't brush her much. Because she has a bad leg? Well, I'm sorry to hear she has a bad leg. Tina, I got to understand what... I got to figure out what I did wrong. See, I can't back up into that screen now and look at it because if I do that, then it kicks me offline. What about you, Tina? You got dogs. Did you use the dog's hairbrush? In case you missed out on the earlier conversation. I didn't have my brush, so I borrowed Teddy's little brush here for a minute. It's got wire on it. It's, pretty good. It went through my hair just fine. Didn't seem to take off any hide. Yep, 12/31/22 at night. 12. Oh, man. I'm sorry. I could sign out and come back another day. They're raising, you've got something that says they're raising prices again. No, but Danny uses mine as a chew toy. We have hounds. They don't really have a brush. Well, that's true. They got short hair. They don't need a lot of brushing. It says 38 hours on Saturday stream on my end. It also says 10 a.m. Saturday. I don't know. I'm here now, so if I screwed that up, guys, I'll go in and make sure Saturdays is right. But I thought I had tonight's right. I really did. As you can tell, I wasn't completely planned. Hey, what do you think about my new pirate right here on my refrigerator? Let me get on that right here. My daughter Jennifer and Brian gave me that. I don't know if they got that at Disney World or somewhere else, but I put magnets on it so I could stick it to my fridge. That's the biggest refrigerator magnet I've ever had. And then they also gave me. They were in Las Vegas a few weeks ago. Jen was out there at a convention slash taking exams in some kind of real estate. What'd she tell me? Appraiser school. Anyway, there's two other ones there from the one from Las Vegas. That's on that side, and then over here is one from Grand Canyon. The Grand Canyon one has a hawk on it. I really like it. And the Vegas one looks like old time Vegas with all the neon and all that kind of stuff. Hey, Tony, Fantastic Chronicles is here, guys. That was part of my Christmas. I got that from them, and I got this from them. Now, I know some might not appreciate that part, but I was grateful. I don't really, it's not like I drink a lot, but when I do, what was that commercial it used to be on? Or guys, it might have been a Dos Equis commercial with the greatest man in the world or something maybe, but when I do, I don't know. Let's think about that. Tim, I like the pictures you posted from your family celebration. Great looking. Oh, well, thank you. I should have put it. I should have got everybody set down and took pictures with everybody so you could see the sons-in-law too, or maybe even the dogs-in-law, the grand dogs and grand cats over there. There's both. Tony, love me some Jameson. I'll bring the smoked meat and we'll all share some Jameson over. That's you got a deal there, buddy. You bring the brisket and I'll bring the Jameson. That's not a problem at all. Well, that was at Jennifer's house. We have moved around a little bit. It's probably easier to do it there than it is for us to try to get ready for everybody, to be honest. And well, that's true. And did I put any candies up? I don't remember. I probably took a few. I need to look on my phone and see. I could do that right now, probably. I don't know. I don't know if I took any though. Which is what I usually do. I used to be a photographer, and I always took candids of everything I did. I mean, that was always that was sort of my shtick if I was doing photography. So people used to get me to do photography at meetings and things like that when I was at work. And what is that whiskey? That was whiskey, Mike. That's Irish whiskey. It's Jameson's Black Barrel. And I've never had it before. And I put it on my list for Santa Claus. But Jen and Brian decided to get it for me. So far, I've only had one nip out of it. It's very tasty. I'm kind of partial to Irish whiskey. Oh, okay. Anyway, I used to do that. I'd take a lot of candids, and that because you're right, they are best, and they're a lot more fun to take. And when you can get people to, participate, not try to pose for you if they see you coming, that's the only thing. I don't take any car key. I should. I regret when my dad's gone, but I always forget. Yeah, I know. I do know what you mean there, Tina. And you know what's bad? We used to take tons and tons of pictures, and I've said this before at Christmas and stuff like that. But most of them were on printed on paper or slides. They're photographs, and I need to dig through some of that. And in fact, we've got some really. I should do that. We've got we probably have years of old Christmas pictures. You get to see Brenda and I when we were pretty young. I was a little tiny bit handsome, and she was very pretty, which would make everybody wonder how did he manage that? What did she see in him? And a question that some have been asking for 50 years, almost 50 years now. We try to each take some pictures in our phone, and then, yeah, that's what we should do now. I mean, and that is so different than how I grew up. Hey, Pam's fam, welcome in. I hope Pam you're well tonight. We've all got phones now, and we could all everybody could be a photographer. I mean, it's not like some guy was walking around in the room with a camera. And what really is embarrassing is that I used to work for Photomat. I always have a camera. You didn't have to tell that, Tina. We won't hold that against you, though. You probably didn't want to be around cameras then. Bing Bong. Is that Garrett? I can't remember who's Bing Bong. Oh, I remember Photomat well. My mother, God rest her soul, was a huge proponent for instant gratification, I guess, in some ways. So she loved Polaroid cameras, and she had one. She had several in her lifetime, I'm guessing. But when a new one would come out, if it was easier to operate, or she thought it was better, then that's what she would be. She'd have one, and so she took tons and tons of Polaroids. But the bad thing about Polaroids is they don't last. And so, if you made archival photos of your family on Polaroids, they're probably going away quick. And if you want to save them, you probably better scan them into your computer, because the color and stuff, the way they were, if they were black and white, they might have lasted. Black and white, the old black and white Instamatic stuff, or Polaroid land stuff, that they might hold up. I'm not sure about those, but the color ones definitely don't. And my mom wanted color. I mean, once color came along, she didn't want to go back. What did Pam say? A lot better than I was a few days ago. We had COVID a couple of weeks ago and just been getting over all the congestion. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, Pam. I am glad to hear you're a lot better than you were. That's always good. Garrett is Bing Bong. Well, I'll have to remember that. I know I've heard that before. That's why I thought it was him. So I'm not sure if Garrett's saying you being sick sucks or if calling him Bing Bong sucks, but we'll guess it's that you were sick. And I was going somewhere with that comment about Polaroids, or about, my mother. I thought, another thought. My mom was, like I said, once color Polaroids came along, she didn't want black and white anything. I used to shoot a lot of black and white photos and portraits and things when we had our dark room, because we could process black and white and we could manage it, and we could do neat things with the photographs and our equipment, because it was a lot easier than. So we did a lot of black and white. Mom never was that crazy about my photography, because it was always black and white. But my mom was like that. And I've told this before, I think, but Mom didn't like, once something new came along, Mom wasn't about going back. And growing up, of course, they had a farm. She lived on a farm, and she was a Depression baby, and they made everything on the farm, and churned their own butter and stuff, which of course a lot of people did. But she told me one time that the greatest invention that ever happened was oleomargarine, because once oleomargarine came along and they could afford it, they didn't have to make butter anymore. And she never had, I don't know that I ever saw a stick of real butter, or cow butter, as old folks used to call it up here, once margarine came along. And she called it oleo. A lot of her recipes still say oleo, or said oleo in them. We've got them upstairs, Brenda does. And so she really liked, she wasn't going to go back to butter. She said she'd gotten off of butter and she was tired of it. She churned it for years. She was one of the little kids at that time, and they had to churn the butter, and she just didn't want anything more to do with it. She was kind of stubborn like that. You call him Bing Bong because he's my imaginary friend, since he doesn't show himself on camera. I knew I'd seen Bing Bong somewhere, or heard of it. Okay. Kay. Hey, Kay Atwell. Welcome in. I hope you're having a good holiday week. And I hope things are decent in South Carolina. Let me see make sure I hadn't missed anybody else. Oleo, my mom hated it, but bought it all the time. She loved butter. Well, I love butter. We love butter, but I had to go off on my own, grow up and have it once I moved out. Honestly, I think I got my love for real butter because the only place I got it was at school, and at school they used to have. You guys may or may not have ever experienced this, but where we come from, it seems like the one finest thing that almost all lunch ladies could make in any school I was ever in up here was school rolls, yeast rolls of some sort, and they'd make them, and we'd get them. They'd still be warm, and they'd daub that real butter on them, or butter, because that's what they got through. Um, Brenda could tell me, the Department of Agriculture, whoever doles out stuff like that to schools, butter and cheese and that sort of stuff. So we would get butter on those rolls, and I'm telling you something, there was nothing better than a warm cafeteria roll with real butter on it, just melting and oozing into that bread. Man, that was good stuff. And I used to deliver Cokes when I had my Coca-Cola job during that period of my life. I used to go to this school down in Seguinsville, Tennessee, and I'd have to take soft drinks to the cafeteria or somewhere in the school. And I went in one day and I smelled this amazing aroma coming, from the cafeteria, and it was bread. And I walked back there, and I just walked up to the counter, and I asked the lady behind the counter if I could buy some bread just to eat for a snack. And so every time I went down there, they'd make sure I had a couple of hot rolls to have butter on. And man, that was good stuff. Yes, was there cocaine in those things? You know what? Maybe that was it. Maybe that's why they were so good, because I sure loved them. Brenda used to work with a lady when Brenda was a school cook in Rutherford County, Tennessee. She worked with a lady that could make them just, in the same way. And Brenda used to make them some at school, but it's hard for me to talk her into making them here at home, which I probably don't need the bread anyway. But man, oh man, once in a while. Closest thing I've come to that since store-bought would probably be, we buy them for Christmas and stuff and have them for dinner. It's, I don't know, Mrs. Somebody's rolls, and we heat those up, or, kind of like brown and serve rolls, but they're not. They're in a pan that's round. Anybody else know what I'm talking about? Brenda, help me if you're in here. Mrs. Schubert's rolls. I believe that's what they are. They're nowhere near, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying they're anywhere near as good as the old cafeteria rolls, but they're not bad. They're better than most other things. My mom could cook some things really, really well, and my mom could not cook some things hardly at all. She was bad about burning stuff. She liked to cook things fast. She needed to get them fast so she could get on to the next project. And then, like I said, there were some things she just didn't want to go back to. And making biscuits was one of those things. Now, I grew up in East Tennessee, in you want to call that the South or the Appalachian area, or, hillbilly or whatever. But I love biscuits, especially biscuits and gravy, and hot biscuits and butter, and even margarine and jelly, homemade jelly. Man, but my mom did not like to make biscuits either. And she would go into the store and buy those Whopping biscuits and bring those things home and serve them to us. And we had all complained, but Mom didn't care. She wasn't. So I would go up to a neighbor lady's house sometimes, and she would make biscuits for me. If I was going to be around, she would always make sure I got some biscuits from her. Oh, Diana, I hate to. Well, you know what? Schools down here have gone that way too. Newer school cafeterias and stuff down here have gone more to junk food. I mean, Brenda worked in one down here for a while, and honestly, it was so bad, she just quit. I mean, she just didn't like feeding the kids, because the kids wouldn't eat anything good if they had AKA junk food. So, they had a pizza window or a pizza island you could go through and get pizza. They may have had a burger line. We actually had a burger and fries line when I went to school for a while, but we still didn't eat in it every day. And maybe they didn't even have it every day. Maybe it was on Fridays or something. But and they drink, sodas now, Cokes, whatever you want to call them, pop, some of you. Because there's machines in every school, which I think they should take out, honestly. I really do. We got milk. And I don't like milk. Don't get me wrong. I don't like milk, but I think it was probably better than drinking Cokes at that age. and we didn't have any junk food machines. And what we got was usually, actually, I've got to admit, most of the food we got at school was pretty good. Now, some of it may not have been my favorite food, but it was pretty good. Something I liked and I never thought I would was at school was we'd have soup beans once in a while, which if you grew up in my part of the country, you lived on half the time. And maybe everybody did, but we did for sure. Soup beans and greens with vinegar we could pour on them if we wanted them. And I don't know what else we'd have, maybe mashed potatoes or maybe a piece of cornbread. And I actually learned to really like those greens with the vinegar. The one thing I didn't like in school that we got, seems like we got tons and tons and tons of, and I was told later in life that was because they could get surplus and they got them through the government again, food service, and that was lima beans. Lima beans I never got adjusted to. What is Kay saying? My grandfather used to tell my grandmother canned biscuits had embalming fluid. So she'd keep making biscuits from scratch. Oh, my word. I wish I could have thought of that years ago. I could have told my mama that. Hey. I love that. That's the way to do it. Oh, my goodness. I know it's not nice to lie, but I would have told that story any day to get out of them whopping biscuits. Man. That's I got to remember that one, Kay. I may have to write that one down. I hope you don't mind. I may steal that someday. It might be in a book. You never know. If I ever get one written. I have a sheet somewhere of all these kind of thoughts and ideas that pop up once in a while. So I might just put that one in there for keepsake. I'll try to remember that you're the one that told me that. I'll write that down too. Sorry, folks. I can't talk and write at the same time. That was your grandfather, right, Kay? Thank you. I hope you don't mind. That's too good to pass up. I can't let things like that get going. I try to keep. Mark and I do that when we think of things that we grew up saying or people grew up around us saying. We try to write them down so we don't forget them, and sooner or later they're going to go in a book. We had. Let me back up. We had old school lunch available once per. You only had school lunch available once per month. We thought hot dogs day was such a treat. Now, are you saying that you only had it because they only did it once a month, or you brought your lunch from home every day but once a month, Carol? In a way, he wasn't wrong. If you think of all the preservatives, well, you might be right, Kay. Hot dog day or McDonald's hamburgers for us, Carol, were good. Excuse me. I don't know if we ever had hot dogs, to be honest. We might have. We definitely had hamburgers, which we all knew and swore that we knew for a fact that they were made out of soybeans because it couldn't be real meat. But honestly, I doubt there was any soybean in them. Diana says, I remember that, Carol. Hot dog day and sometimes McDonald's hamburgers with orange soda. Well, I don't remember either one of those things. You guys are way too young. Well, thank you, Kay. I won't. I would use it gladly and proudly, and not be anything disrespectful. Oh yeah, orange soda was good. Orange soda's still good. Uncas, holy cow! Welcome in, sir. We were just talking about sayings and things that me and you write down and try to keep track of. And let me tell you this one before you get going, in case you weren't in here. Kay Atwood said she was just telling a story that her grandfather used to tell her grandmother that Whoppum biscuits had embalming fluid in them so that she wouldn't make them at home and would keep making homemade biscuits. Which I think I wrote it down. We got to use that sometime, brother. Oh no, that was that today. I think they do down here. Well, they got High C, which is orange. Yeah, orange soda. I didn't hear about that, Mark. How do you hear these things? I mean, I hear a lot of stuff, but I miss things like that. Well, that's too bad. I was listening to some of his music the other day, and honestly, I was wondering if he was still around. Mike and Diana, do you know who Ian Tyson is or was? She went to a private school. We only had a hot lunch available once per month. The moms had to donate cupcakes and cookies to sell for dessert. No orange soda for us, though. Well, I have to know oh, so you took lunch from home every day of some sort. Your son sent you a link, and now I'm mourning. Well, I am too, now that you've told me. Oh, Pele died? I didn't know that either. That's interesting. I remember when Pele. I was never a soccer fan. I'm still not a soccer fan. To me, I just don't like it. But I remember when Pele was the highest paid athlete and the professional athlete in the world. And I remember one year that Hank Aaron, during his home run when he was chasing Babe Ruth's record, he got a contract, and he was actually making more than Pele for 1 second. And not talking about near as much money as they make today, so it's not like that. And then I remember Pele got a raise, and he was again the highest paid athlete before he retired. But yeah, you know what, Mark? I don't know that I'll get in trouble. What? Give me the name of your favorite Ian Tyson song. I think I know it, but here's something about him dying. Um, oh yeah, The Gift. Let's see if I can get that up on line. All right, guys, hang with me. If you never heard of Ian Tyson, here he is. I'm going to play one song in tribute to Ian Tyson, and surely that won't get me in any trouble. If it does, so be it. It'll be worth it. Bear with. And tell me if you can hear it. I hadn't started it yet. Yeah, well, that'll just have to happen. Did anybody hear it? they can't you hear it? Well, shoot. Yeah, if you can't hear it, then it's not. If you can't hear it, I'm not going to play it. That won't work. I've done this before, and it used to work just fine. Garrett, why would it? Why would it not? Why would they not hear the sound? You're you're much sharper on these things than I am. Well, let me just take this off the screen. Oh, and put me back on the screen. I had to get up and stretch for a minute. Okay, where'd Mark go? No hobbla in. Okay. Well, Mark, thanks for coming on and telling me that. Thanks for popping in, buddy. Always glad to have you in chat or in the stream at all, for that matter. It depends where your audio feed is being routed to. Plus, you may have noise canceling software that filters sound out. Well, if I do, I didn't, and if I do, I don't know where it came from, because I used to, when I did the cartoon day, everybody could hear the cartoons, I think, and I believe every day before that everybody was able to hear, and then suddenly I couldn't. Suddenly nobody could hear. Hang on. I don't know. I'll figure that out. I'm going to figure that out before I do another show. But if you don't know who Ian Tyson was, and you would like to hear one song that he did, then I highly recommend you look up The Gift, or what was it, MC Horses, I believe, and do it later. So yeah, you guys can listen to that. In fact, I'm going to post a link to The Gift. And The Gift's a song he wrote about Charlie Russell. And if you don't know who Charlie Russell was, you should. But Charlie Russell was a famous cowboy artist and primarily painted, and his art was primarily Montana and probably some southern Canada. Mark could tell you a lot more than that about it. But anyway, he was at one time he was quite the Western singer. What I would consider a real Western singer, not our country and Western, but not as much country. Garrett saying, and we're back to the lunch bags. I saw Carol say she had a Happy Days lunchbox. I don't think I had a lunchbox in school. I'm not positive about that, but I used to carry a lunchbox to work. The good old fashioned kind with the thermos in the lid. Well, you know what? Maybe I did have one for a little while in school, because I remember having a thermos. Mom would put, she would put stuff in it for me in the thermos. Jack Daniels, some of Grandpa's moonshine. Just things like that to get me through the day. But we carried a lot of brown paper bags. We used to buy those by the bunches. Yes, exactly, Garrett. The hard out lunchbox. That was more likely what I had than I don't remember ever having anything cool like a Mickey Mouse one, or Roy Rogers, or I wasn't even in school when they got around to doing things like Happy Days. That's I think that's pretty fitting, Mark. I'd say you kind of nailed that for a lot of people that really like the old Western cowboy singing and that sort of thing. I wonder if anybody picked up on that, Garrett. Good catch. Oh, Snoopy and a $6 million man, Mark. That's cool. Yeah, she was handy like that, Diana. I had paper bags, so did my husband, and he still saves paper bags when we come home from the store. Well, I say big ones. We don't get little ones anymore, but I used to fold mine up and put them in my pocket, take them home, and Mom would use them until I wore them out. And I worked with a guy in Nashville who did that, and he could get more mileage out of an old paper bag, old brown lunch sack than anybody ever saw. Let's see who else said something. Oh yeah, that's Box. Yeah, guys, check out Ian Tyson. Listen to a couple of his songs. I mean, you may not like them, but I've got pretty eclectic taste, and I like them, and vaguely can remember when I was much younger. But I definitely have listened to him in recent years, and I may listen to something that's rock and roll tomorrow, but I may listen to Ian Tyson before I go to bed. So with me, you just never know. Mark, are you guys frozen in, or did it get up to 60 today? If you're still in here. Oh, Carol, you don't remember H.R. Puffin stuff? I do remember him. Oh, Danny does. Okay. No, this isn't usual kind of use them till they're greasy. But when they get greasy, they're more waterproof, Mark. Well, see here, let me back up here a minute. Monarch, we use thousands. We have thousands. Oh, thousands? Well, that's a little bit much, maybe. At some point, I don't have anything more to do with them. Kind of like zucchini at the end of summer or okra. I used to always end up with a whole lot more okra than we could eat. So you're above freezing. Well, that's good, I guess. That means everything's turned into slippery, slotty yuck out there. We definitely shopped at Kmart, though. I had those awful track shoes to go with my Sears tough skin jeans. Oh, Carol, me too. And I hated those shoes because at school they would not stick to the floor. I mean, you couldn't get it on the gym floor. You couldn't get any traction. The soles were hard, and they wouldn't mark up the floor, like a hard sole shoe, because you weren't supposed to wear those on the gym floor. But they wouldn't. If you tried to play basketball in them, you'd try to stop and you'd just slide. And the kids with the Chuck Taylor All Stars, they just, scoop and dash and stuff, and you'd be losing constantly. Well, I'll tell you something else they're pretty good for, Tina. You can always light a fire with them. You didn't have H.R. Puffin Snuff in Canada. Well, I guess those Canadian, they didn't want you young ones to get influenced by anything nearly as decadent as H.R. Puffin Snuff. Look it up, Diana. It's kind of interesting. I didn't watch it as a kid. I knew about it, but I don't remember watching it. I mean, I saw it a few times, but it wasn't a regular for me. Hang on, guys. I got to mind my wife and do my nose wiping off camera. Be right back. You guys know those AT&T commercials on television where, the guy's in the rocket to the moon and all of a sudden he yells, touchdown, or he's loose. And they say, what's wrong in the capsule? Oh, my seatbelt's loose. Hang on a minute. Well, I'm kind of doing that right now because one of Tennessee's quarterbacks that was really good a few years ago. Got drafted by the Steelers. And then he was playing behind Rosenberger, so he never got to play much. And the Titans picked him up last week, and he's starting tonight for the first time ever since he went pro that I know. Well, he might have started once or twice in Pittsburgh, but I just always really liked the guy, and he was super nice kid at the time, and he was smart. He wasn't a typical football player. He had an aero engineering degree and was working on, in the summertime, he had some kind of part of his studies involved working with space rockets. I mean, he's really sharp. But he was also a pretty good football player, so I hope he gets a chance to play a little bit now. That same thing happened to, I only talked about this once because he's my arch enemy in football. That same thing kind of happened with Steve Spurrier. Steve Spurrier came out of college football, the Heisman Trophy winner at Florida, and got scooped up real quick by the San Francisco 49ers. But he was playing behind, I had him on my mind just a minute ago. The 49ers had a really good quarterback for a long time, and in the 70s, and in the late 60s, early 70s, and he played behind him, so he never got to play. That guy never got hurt, or rarely ever did. And Spurrier just spent his whole career not playing until finally they expanded the football league, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers came along, and they picked him up as a quarterback, and I think he started for them a little bit, but didn't last either. I think by then he just forgot how to play. I mean, he hadn't played in so long. But same thing kind of happened to Josh. He got picked up by Pittsburgh, and they just needed him as a spare. And back then, Rosenberger was, Big Ben was Big Ben and didn't go out a lot back then. Oh, we had Bozo. I'll get back on the subject now. Canadians were spared HR string. It was a strange show. I'm not going to deny that. Friendly Giant was on PBS. Oh, you guys have PBS? Which was our only U.S. station when I was a kid. Well, that's not a bad one to get, though. Oh, Mark leaving? All right, Mark. I'll talk to you tomorrow, buddy. Later, Buck. I'll never forget when I got my first pair of Levi's or Wranglers after wearing Kmart jeans or Sears jeans for years, which I did not much like. What's Carol was saying about the Friendly Giant or Bozo the Clown? We used to get the Windsor channel because we were so close to Detroit. Oh, that's interesting, Carol. I've never been anywhere where I got a Canadian channel. But I definitely remember Bozo the Clown because I watched that growing up. He was from my generation. Bozo and Clarabelle and Mr. Captain Kangaroo. Oh, yeah, they were. That might have been their first year, Garrett. I'm not sure. When they first started, though, they were terrible. And Spurrier was their quarterback. And that's before he retired and went on to be a coach. And he was from Johnson City, Tennessee, my hometown, or right outside my hometown. And I've never forgiven him because he's always had bad things to say about Tennessee, and he never would come back here and coach. So, he always coached in Florida or South Carolina. No offense, Kay. But he never would come back to Tennessee. And I learned to have a huge grudge against that man. Oh, no, I don't remember Mr. Dress Up, Carol. That's new. I kind of remember Friendly Giant when the kids were growing up, but I don't know that that's after my time. John Brody, that's him. That's it, Garrett. John Brody. Spurrier played behind John Brody at San Francisco until he left. But and I can't remember if he was there long enough for Brody to retire or not. But back then, Brody was one of the hot quarterbacks. So, He just didn't get to play behind him much. Hey, Dean, welcome in, sir. Are you going on tonight? If so, please tell us what time, because I forgot to look that up before I came on. Carkey says her sisters got to go on Bozo show in Windsor when I was 2. I'm still jealous. Well, I don't blame you. Did they get to be introduced or anything? We kind of had a local version of Bozo, and the local TV channels played it. Of course, it was from wherever it was from originally, New York or Chicago, or I don't know. And then we also had our cowboy shows. We had a couple of local cowboy shows, and one of them was the cowboy folks that hung out at Tweetsy Railroad. Anybody ever heard of Tweetsy Railroad? And that was in Maggie Valley, North Carolina, just across the state line and just outside the state park. And the cowboy that was their main cowboy. I've never figured out why they had a cowboy thing, but they did. I mean, North Carolina didn't really have cowboys. Okay, what did Tina say? Because I missed that. We're reminiscing, Dean. Tina, no, you're right on CBC. Trying to remember the show we watched on PBS. I think we're pretty close in age. Tina said, yeah, we had Bozo and Captain Kangaroo and Mr. Rogers later. Oh, Mr. Rogers was always on PBS for us. I don't know if it was ever on anywhere else. But Captain Kangaroo was my favorite show growing up. Now, I remember one time my mom insisted that we had to go somewhere, and I wanted to stay home and watch Captain Kangaroo. But I didn't get to. I had to go with her, and I got really angry or upset about it. So when we were wherever we were going, I remember her saying something to the lady we were with about I wasn't happy because I didn't get to see Captain Kangaroo, and I remember telling her in front of company that probably the most educational show there was on TV back then, and she was taking me away from it. It just wasn't right. Yeah, I was a big fan of Captain Kangaroo. I was asking somebody recently, maybe that was on one of my shows, if they remembered when Captain Kangaroo would do Circus Week. And they always put out that big model outside the house, in the stage. So the big layout with trains on it that were all about the circus coming to town. You think your PBS lineup when I was in kindergarten was Sesame Street, Mr. Rogers, Electric Company. That sounds about right, Carol. No on-demand, Tina, no VCR to record anything on. When Betamax and VCRs came out, I thought that might have been the greatest human invention since toilet paper. Because now we could record a show and not miss things. Because that was another thing I had to do growing up one time. We'd get old movies, and I remember Pork Chop Hill was on at Gregory Peccary and or Gregory Rockstone or whatever the Flintstones called him, and Pork Chop Hill with him in it and whoever else was in it. And I didn't get to see the ending because Mom took me somewhere that day too. And when I got back, I turned the TV on because I thought it was running too bright back then. And I thought it would be still on because I stopped it right there on the TV, but it wasn't. And the first thing I thought of when we got old enough for that kind of stuff to come out is, by God, I'll never miss the end of Pork Chop Hill again. Somebody else talk for a minute. I'm getting a sore throat. That was your remote control, Tina. Tina changed the channel to 23. I kind of remember that too. As a kid, we were always the ones to have to get up and change the channel. But there weren't many I mean, when I grew up and where I grew up, there weren't very many channels to change. I mean, for the longest time, we had three, and that was more than most people had when I was growing up. My uncles, cousins on mom's side of the family pretty much just got one channel. That was out of Bristol. Then they may have gotten ABC because it came out in Kingsport. And every once in a while when the weather was right, we might get a Knoxville channel ghosting in, or one from over the mountains in Asheville. Dean will be live at 9, and hopefully some folks can go over there. Well, I kind of get that with Mr. Rogers. I probably didn't appreciate him near as much as I was older either. I mean, when I was probably the age I should have been watching him, I really wasn't sure why a grown man was still wearing sweaters his mom made him. Oh, you had 5. Well, you lived in New York where there were probably more stations anyway. I grew up in East Tennessee where there weren't very many to start with. Well, I have to admit, I'm not sure I remember Kimba. Huckleberry Hound, I just started to mention him, Carol. Huckleberry Hound, Deputy Dog, of course, the horse, Quickstraw McGraw with his sidekick Bubbaloo. It's all right. Who else used to come on in that? Tennessee Tuxedo. Oh, there was a few others. Yogi Bear, of course, and the Flintstones. And you may or may not remember this. Tina might. The Flintstones came out originally the Flintstones came out as a primetime television show. I think it was a little bit more oriented towards adults than it was children. Not in that time period's way. Land of the Lost. Hey Bones, I didn't know if you were still here. I remember the Land of the Lost very well. And Scooby Doo, Scooby Doo came along. He was one of the better new cartoons that came along before I stopped watching them. I'm not going to say what age Tina is, but I think she's a lot closer to me than you are. Let's put it that way, Garrett. I was thinking there was another. Oh, well, no, I said Deputy Dog. Who remembers Droopy Dog? Because if you've never seen Droopy Dog, you need to check out Droopy Dog. My buddy Phil and I were stuck in a hotel in Alabama one time. We'd gone to a motorcycle race and we just had to find whatever motel we could find. And they didn't get much for TV channels and probably no cable. And whatever we turned on, we were getting ready to go to the race that morning or head home. I don't remember which. And there were cartoons running, and this Droopy Dog cartoon came on where he was trying to apprehend a wolf, I think. And every time the wolf would outsmart Droopy Dog, of course, he would find out he had not outsmarted him, and in fact, Droopy had outsmarted him. And his eyes would bug out, and his tongue would come out, and we laughed and laughed and laughed. Well, there you go, Garrett. Tim looks 60. Tim looks closer to 80, 70 anyway. Yeah, says the guy who hides behind the camera. That's a very good point, Carol. He has very little right to call anybody, say anybody looks 60ish or 70ish or whatever, when we never get to see what he looks like. He's probably like a baby-faced kid. Okay, somebody that understands human anatomy or physiology better not tell me why my beard hair is white or gray and my head hair is still mostly brown, or at least much darker than my beard is. Of course, my dad was kind of that way too. Now that I think about it, he had he grew a beard one time for the 100th anniversary of the city where he worked, Johnson City, Tennessee, and then also for I think it was about the same time as the American Bicentennial. And he grew a beard because they were going to do a citywide beard contest or something. They tried to get every man in the town that worked in the city or whatever to grow a beard, and he did. And his beard came out all white except right down the middle. He had a stripe. He had a skunk stripe. Only it was a reverse skunk, mostly white and then black. But he had a perfect stripe right down off his chin to his end of his beard that was white. They're black. And I thought it was cool, but he didn't think so. And when the day came when he could shave it off because the contest and all that stuff was over, he couldn't wait and he got rid of it. But scared camera. Yeah, I've heard that one before, Garrett. I think it has something to do with the way you brush your hair, Tim. Gray hair to match Teddy because you use his brush on your hair. You could be right, Carol. I never thought about that. Teddy, you mean you're going to share a brush from now on? I'm going to start using it on my beard, okay? What do you think about that? He's looking at me kind of funny, Carol. What did Garrett say? Oh, the camera keeps moving. Yes. Tina, you say it's gravity? Well, gravity's pulling everything else on me down. I guess it could be gravity. Okay, my kids got me some Haribo gummy peach slices, which I absolutely love. Small bag. And I was a little snacky, so I'm eating them. So sorry if I'm chewing on screen. I apologize. But I was just a tiny bit hungry. You want to come up and say hi again? Hmm? You want to say hi? Come here. Oh. There. Now, say hi. Turtle's mama's on here. You can say hi to him. Uh-oh, look up there on the ceiling. I see a stink bug. Anybody else have stink bugs come in their house when it's cold weather? They didn't used to, so I've got a feeling these are yet another import from another world. Kind of like the ladybugs that come in the house too. Oh, Haribo makes the best candies. I don't care much for gummy type candies until I had some of theirs. Two things they make that I absolutely love: peach slices, which almost taste like real peaches, and they're berries. They used to just call them raspberries. They were black and red. I think that's what they were called then. I used to get them at Disney World at the Germany Pavilion. It was the only place we could get them. First place I ever had them. And every time we would go to Disney World, I'd get a couple of packs to bring home with me. And they were packs this size, small, 5 ounce or whatever they are. And then I got to where I could find them in other places for a while. But man, I like those things. They are, Mike. Well, if you ever decide you got a hankering for some, you let me know. I used to order them. I have ordered them by the 5-pound bag off Amazon before. But my wife frowns upon that, and I haven't done that in a long time. Teddy Turtle said hi. He's busy eating a cracker. Hang on. I don't think they sold. Well, he might could get a 50-pound bag. Oh, you can't like both, Mike? And let's see what Carol said. Are you talking about those ones that look like raspberries? Yes. I got a bag over there. What's left in a bag? It was. They got me. I got me a bag. This size bag of both this year for Christmas, and a bag of York peppermint patties, which are a whole different kind of favorite candy. I'd go get those, but I'd walk across the room, Carol. By the time I got back to the screen here, it'd be time to get off, which it almost is anyway. Because I want to make sure a few people can have a chance to go say hi to Dean. And including myself. My upper leg parts are starting to ache a little bit. The watermelon slices are good too. I bet they are, Carol. It's kind of like the first time I ever tasted what's the jelly beans that Reagan likes so much? Sure, somebody in here knows that. Because those jelly beans had the most realistic flavor of anything I've ever tasted. They're buttered popcorn. Jelly beans taste like buttered popcorn. Jelly Bellies. And I do kind of like those too, although I haven't had any in a long time. But the flavors are spot on. And that's why I would never eat some of those they made for Hogwarts or, for Harry Potter, sold as Harry Potter brand or whatever, because I didn't want anything that tasted like vomit or snot. And my understanding is every once in a while you'd get a bag and they would have a couple of those in it. So I gladly passed on those. Cranberry Jelly Bellies? I don't think I've ever had those. Are they tart? Then I guess like a real cranberry. Oh, wow. That football game's 32-32. I hadn't even looked. That was interesting. Looks like they now have pylon cameras for the first down markers. I guess they might have to for disputes about ball placement. Garrett, do you know if that's true? I don't watch pro football much, so yeah, that's what it is. How about that? I kind of wondered how they were doing that. Like I said, I don't usually watch pro football. The only reason I'm watching this game is because of Josh Dobbs. Carkey says, I used to eat Jelly Bellies. Oops, that's the wrong one. Well, where am I? I'm gonna shut down here soon, Dean, and whoever wants to can swing by there. I used to eat Jelly Bellies a lot when my kids were little. Then they got old enough to want me to share. Carol, some people would say that I might not believe them, but somehow I do. because they were probably their jelly bellies, but you probably told them, oh, you guys don't need this sugar. Because that's what I would have told mine. Birdie Bots, every flavor beans. Yes, those are the Harry Potter ones. They come only under that packaging, so no danger of getting an earwax. Oh, earwax. Oh, flavored bean in the regular packs. That's good. That's good to know. I never could stomach the idea of getting something that, might taste even remotely like vomit. All right, guys. Why did I do that? Hang on. I got to eat this before I can talk. Okay. I'm going to sign off, guys. Everybody go by and say hi to Dean. I'd like for everybody to jump in there and hit that like button for him. And hit the like button in here if you are so inclined. Or the no like button if you're not. I mean, I'll take that too. Turkey leg jelly bellies. Oh, Carol, what you said. There's something to be thankful for. Earwax, vomit, even grass or popcorn. None are tasty. Oh, I like the popcorn ones. Oh, I do. But earwax and vomit, grass, no. No. Boogers. I think they had boogers. I think they had a little bit of everything. Mike, we still need to have a conversation. Send me a note when you guys are around or have time, and we'll do a call on. In fact, I need to just do that some night. Just invite everybody in this room and just do a video call one night. But send me a note and let me know if you're around. I'll be here. Well, I'm here all the time, pretty much. The grass flavored ones are tasty. I find that hard to believe, Carol. I'm just probably going to stick with what I got. Stick with popcorn and some of those flavors. All right, guys. Thanks for coming in. I hope everybody here has a wonderful and happy New Year. If you're going out to a party or something, please be safe. And while I suspect you guys are safe, you always know you need to watch out for that other guy because he's probably not. And oh, that would be good, Mike. We can figure that out. But anyway, be safe. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. And I appreciate you coming on. This was just kind of the end of the year, unless Saturday's kind of going to be the same thing. Although I think I'm going to throw out a few shows that I've done in the past. If anybody's had a favorite show or a topic they like to discuss, come in and let us know. And we'll go from there. Hey, D, you just caught us going off, buddy. Dave, I hope you're having a good night, and I hope you have a safe and happy New Year also. So, see you guys, some of you at Dean's site for a little bit, but the rest of you I'll see soon, hopefully on Saturday. So, good night. Oh, we can definitely talk about donuts, Mike. That's for sure. Bye-bye.